a movie totally in a submarine. And I also encouraged everybody to watch the movie Lebanon, which is an Israeli film that takes place entirely inside of a tank, because we had some of the same issues.
So let's start with 180 this car. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Of course, the limo is a set, and it had to be modular and come apart.
We bought 2 cars. One worked as the exterior, and the second car we absolutely gutted because we wanted the shell in order to figure out how we could actually get enough walls wilding in the car so we could get all the camera angles that David might require. The car comes apart in about 21 different ways. We wanted it to be as flexible as possible and give him as much latitude as he would like. So when we first started designing, I'd done a little model that he and I looked at, and I could see him getting quite excited when I started pulling off sides of the model as to how his shots could be. It has a very elusive feel to it, this car. We didn't want it to look like any other interior of a limousine, yet we wanted it to be recognizable. The idea was to put in things that are somewhat familiar, but just off-kilter that you wouldn't recognize them. So in terms of the furniture, I designed the furniture on the inside of the car based on shapes and grills and kind of trims that you'd find on most outside of sports cars and things like that. We changed Eric's seat, which would be a double seat at the end of the limousine, to a single one, into a throne for him per se, because from there he controls everything.
David wanted Robert to be in the same spot always, like in this powerful position of sitting in front of his limo, and I'm like bouncing from one place to another.
Was I expecting you?
And I didn't know whether it could be really free or I had to stick into one spot. So I took the risk of moving around, not doing the same thing always, from one take to the next one. You try and see, you know, it's like animals. They try and they see the limits, and then they have to behave in the limits. But you've got to try and feel the wall there.
Can we move you over a little bit so you're more like where you would really be, sort of more centered, yeah.
If everything was set in different scenes and you could move around everywhere, I mean, I would literally have been going completely loopy. But just having to stay in the seat the whole time, it really forces you to behave a certain way. And it was nice as well having the other actors come in every single time, and none of them were ever as familiar as I was, apart from Jay Baruchel, who was doing it on the first day with me. After that point, no one had been in the limo as much as me. So they came in and had to figure it all out for themselves, and I was always comfortable in my seat, and they could just observe whatever they were doing to figure out their performances, which was nice. Everyone else felt alien in my domain.
All these limos, my God. You can't tell one from another. What's the charm of identical?
That I'm a powerful person who chooses not to demarcate his territory with singular driblets of piss is what? Something I need to apologize for?
I want to go home and tongue kiss my Maxima.
My first day, I run into the limo, so I was thinking there's an exterior and an interior, and I called the AD and I'm like, are we doing the exterior or interior? And they're like, oh, no, it's all green screen. They've built New York. And I'm like, all green screen? Does this mean that I'm gonna be like jogging in front of a green screen and Robert's gonna be on a stool? No. When they say they've built New York, like they've actually built a whole street. When you're just in a green screen with nothing, you start acting, which you don't want to do. Like, I don't want to start acting, jogging, acting, looking, like all this stuff. So when it's there for you, thank God, you don't have to do it.
David's idea to put most of the scenes inside the car meant that we could do all of this in a very controlled environment. He wanted a really claustrophobic look when we see the outside world from within the limo's windows. There was no way to get this limo outside to shoot exterior shots, because if you look at the lighting rig on the limo, it's virtually impossible for it to move other than at a very slow crawl. That meant we had to recreate 47th Street, several parts of it, on stage. And we ended up building a block long of sidewalks, street furniture, and then we had green screen on either side of it where we'll take plates from New York City and the visual effects department will put them in.
Think outside the limits.
There's a whole bunch of driving shots where basically we have to make it look that we're in Manhattan in a traffic jam and rolling slowly and then speeding up and slowing down and stopping and all that kind of business, and making sure that it feels real. So we add a lot of reflections to windows and color correct them so that they feel like tinted windows. That's a big part of it all, making it feel like it's real and that they're actually there in that environment. Usually there's probably 4 or 5 different parts to any one key, dealing with hair, dealing with window edges, dealing with extras who are very soft focus outside of the windows. And Wojtek, the visual effects supervisor, was involved in B-camera shooting for background plates to match up to all the interior backgrounds. There's always a little bit of manipulation that has to go on in terms of matching the perspectives. Obviously, one of the big things that we have to deal with in terms of making Toronto look like New York City is remove any Canadian references. So a lot of times with the Canadian flag, what we'll do is just key on the red of the Canadian flag and turn it white, so then it just becomes a sort of white flag hanging somewhere. So it becomes, you know, just another example of our surrender.
Oh, also, I didn't know they were gonna move the car.
Action.
And then the car starts moving, but not like a normal car, like people are pushing the car, and me and Robert were like kind of feeling a little seasick.
This happened today?
This happened tonight. I called a source at the Shenzhen
While running.
while flinging my body down Madison Avenue to get here on time.
My friend Jay Baruchel was working before me, so I called him and I'm like, what's it like? And he was telling me a bit about how David doesn't say much, you know, after a take.
Cut. Very beautiful take. Let's do another one.
If he likes it, he doesn't say anything. If there's a problem, he'll say something. And so, yeah, if I would not have known that, I would have thought I was terrible on the first day, and it would have been really terrifying. Like, he hates me. Oh, I'm in trouble.
Hello.
Hi.
So big trouble. I might have to cue you as to when to start.
Start. Okay, sure.
Because we want to be on his face. And what happens is he puts up the
We'll find a place for your head to be, Robert. If you just lie down, we'll see if that's the right spot.
Good. Side down.
It's quite relaxing, isn't it?
Action.
So you do what? Same routine every day?
Varies, depending.
So it comes to your house. Nice. On weekends.
We die, Jane, on weekends. People, it happens.
You're right. I didn't think of that.
We die because it's the weekend.
One of the things that typifies Don DeLillo's writing is this concentration on thoughtful, clever, stagey, theatrical dialogue. And David has really embraced that.
The way the language is written in the novel, you learn your lines. You know, like, every and is important. It's not a there, it's a the.
There's a rumor, it seems, involving the finance minister. He's supposed to resign any time now. Some kind of scandal about a misconstrued comment. He made a comment about the economy that may have been misconstrued. The whole country is now analyzing the grammar and the syntax of this comment. Or it wasn't even what he said. It was when he paused. They're trying to construe the meaning of the pause. So it may be deeper, even, than grammar. It may be breathing.
So the whole economy convulses because the man took a breath.
It's a sign of David's respect for the audience, that he believes you can make a mature, thoughtful film with real and challenging dialogue without having to dumb it down for a general audience. It feels real. It feels hyper-real in the way that Don DeLillo, I think, intended it when he wrote the dialogue.
Cut.
There are so many long scenes, a lot of which are playing out in one shot. And it was, in a lot of ways, fluke if you get the right rhythm, because it's so obscure, and the right rhythm and the right tone. And generally when it felt right was when, for me, when I didn't know what I was doing at all. And he seemed to pick up on that as well, and always liked those ones. 100% of the time, he didn't want any kind of choreographed performance. He wanted something out of the ether.
Cut. Very good. Very good.
Cut it. Fuck, I forgot a line. It was my favorite line.
Somehow it just works. You can have an actor who's very arrogant and thinks he knows everything. You can have an actor who's so insecure he can barely work. And then you can have an actor who has a healthy skepticism about himself, but still has, underneath it all, the desire to go for it.
Is that where I'm supposed? What is this mark representing?
And I think that's where we were with Rob, and I think that's actually a perfect place for him to come to. As I said to him, you're not going to be alone. I will be there for every single shot. We will get what we need, believe me. If it's hard, it'll be hard. If it's easy, it'll be easy. You're going to be with a series of fantastic actors who will give you a lot. So you will never be left alone to flounder and to try and figure out what's going on. But frankly, by the end of the movie, he really knew what he was doing, whether he was conscious of it or not. And he was just locked in, and we were just doing 1 or 2 takes. You're a bit low on the frame. You can push it. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Action.
You grip the water bottle.
It's that soft type plastic.
You grip it, you're choking.
When Robert says the words, he could say it any way and it comes out kind of spectacular.
Sexual tension.
Because of this youthful daring in him.
That business of Judeo-Christian jogging.
And it works for Eric as well, this billionaire guy who's a kid at his core.
You're sloppy-bodied, smelly, and wet.
He asked me, he's like, did you ever get a prostate exam? No. And he's like, okay, because I don't know, I haven't, and I don't know how to do it. And then David came in and bends over and assumes the position of getting a prostate exam in front of me.
Maybe not to sink so low. The lower down you go, you can't tilt down. I still want you to feel that.
I mean, some girls would be really excited to have Robert Pattinson bend over in front of them. I had no problem with Robert doing it, but David did it better.
Okay, this is just one person shaking it. I have the cameras sitting on a chair so it stays steady. Can we go a little heavier, please? A little bit heavier if we can. Let's give her.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. So it's not rolling over.
Well, what do you think?
I think it's good.
Okay, cool.
I think that's enough.
All right.
Definitely. Yeah.
Great.
There we go.
It's the post-riot limo. Woo. Of course, it's just 2 of us, but they have a cast of thousands that would have originally done it. So it's taking us a little bit longer, and we have to do it in an artistic fashion. Fascist pig! Genius. Salvador Dali couldn't have done better.
And the reason we have 2 people doing this is because it takes one person to do it and the other person to tell him when to stop.
What a shot.
Perfect. That's exactly where I was thinking it should go.
That one you don't want to...
So this is our computer-generated reference. As you can see, we followed it verbatim, but they didn't give us reference for the other side, so we get to use our creative license. Do not try this at home.
We know what the anarchists have always said.
The urge to destroy is a creative urge.
Destroy the past, make the future.
Once we're rolling, when I call rat, you'll be able to hear me call out 3, 2, 1, drop, at which point the effects guys are taking over. Okay, change guys!
This is what the protest is all about. Visions of technology and wealth, the force of cyber capital that will send people to the gutter to retch and die. What is the flaw of human rationality?
What?
That it pretends, sorry. What is the flaw of human rationality? By saying this, it doesn't mean that I've had a terrible time. I've had an amazing time. However, the environment with which we were shooting in was the most difficult I've ever shot in. People say, oh, what was it like being in all that water for Minority Report and the camera coming up and down? And it was fine. It was water. It was fine. There's something to do with the claustrophobia of being in a car, the heat of the lights, the people on the car. You feel like you're at a safari and the monkeys are jumping on the car and they're going to get in. But then ultimately to stay in character because she's not fazed by it at all, you know. It was tricky. This is also the hallmark of capitalist thought. Enforced destruction. Old industries have to be harshly eliminated. Old markets have to be forcibly claimed. And new markets have... I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, David.
Okay, that's
It's
cut.
completely gone. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
but it was great up to there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's cut.
I'm sorry about that before.
It's amazing, are you kidding?
No.
Now, I heard you saying that the words melt together, that they melt in your room.
Yeah.
It was perfect. They should, and so they should.
Marshmallow toast.
But then sometimes they come out the wrong way. They come back.
Come out melted. Yes, they come out as one congealed mass.
The nerves are insane when you're working with someone who's accomplished and achieved as much as David Cronenberg has. But there's a trust there as well when you see somebody's body of work, and you feel very safe because you know what they're capable of, but also then a responsibility because you don't want to let them down. The security of working with somebody who is very comfortable on a set, having written it, it's lovely to work with people who, well, it's not just lovely, it's a dream to work with people who write and direct, you know, and acted as well, because they understand what you're going through.
Basically, we're like that all the time, or did you move around a bit? Not much, not really. His main quality was his stillness.
But I hear, you always hear that in interviews with actors that they don't think the other guy is very good. It's interesting stillness.
Yeah. He never blinks. And he never, powerful stillness, and he never blinks.
I've heard that as well about people. They're really good because they don't blink.
I thought it was impossible for me because I blink all the time. I couldn't imagine not blinking. But it's true, though. It does give you more power if you don't blink. But then if you start to notice it, it's really weird. Via Kinski, she's emotionally and psychologically such a strange role. Those people who are so in their heads that they barely are existing in their bodies. In other words, there's no normal psychological ground to leap off from. And the lighting is all inside the limo. We couldn't put any outside because it's going to be covered with people. And you can't really understate the challenge of doing scenes totally within the confines of a limo. In Samantha's case, almost entirely in one seat. It takes away a lot of the weaponry you have as an actor.
Okay. I will try my hardest.
I like how the slippers should be in the shot as well.
My slipper.
You have to really deliver from inside, from a very deep place, to really use your voice and your face in a more exclusive way than a normal role.
Action!
The future can never be the cruel and happy place we want to make it. What would happen if they knew that the head of Packer Capital was in the car? You know what the anarchists have always said.
There, we can start rocking more violence, guys. Rocking more violence.
The urge to destroy is the creative urge.
This is also the hallmark of capitalist thought. Enforced destruction. Old industries have to be harshly eliminated. New markets have to be forcibly claimed. And old markets have to be re-exploited. Destroy the past, make the future.
Cut. Nice take.
Got it! Reset.
I think this is the best spot. You spray right here. All right, nice and close to the window. That way it'll drip down and hold it for 2 seconds. So why don't you guys go practice with Brad over there?
Okay.
Do you like to talk in?
That's how I'm moving. And background action.
Action.
The goal was to keep it as teeming as possible, to keep up the pressure that Eric Packer is feeling as he's going along that day. And I think we succeeded quite nicely. We worked with our props department who, gave background performers quite a bit to do. We insisted on a lot more extras or background performers than we actually were budgeted for just because it needed it.
I think our biggest day for the riot was 160. We had our idealists who were just basically a younger group that were protesting, but, in a non-violent fashion. And then we also had a category of anarchists, and they were the little more aggressive group, and they came out in their masks and they're black. And we had some specialty people come in as well and mixed in some stunt people so we can get a more accurate interpretation of a riot with the smashing of cars and jumping around and that sort of thing.
When Braden runs in, he's gonna have a Molotov cocktail, which he's throwing over there. It doesn't have real gasoline, but the cord will be lit, all right? So there will be flame. So at the point when he runs in, nobody goes through there. Unless they're the stunt performers at that point in time, none of you guys go through there until after he throws that. Everyone got that? So you guys are on that side? Yeah.
I'd like to do a test. So let's load that thing. Back everyone off from here.
You can make a couple steps forward.
Okay. Fire in the hole. And fire! Okay. All right, good.
Hey, let's use that gun. And you're going forward. You're getting people out. And then you're right on his heels. Background! Go, guys, go, go.
Action!
Action!
The idea of being someone who really had an understanding of what a company might be producing and where its place in the world was and what was happening with the economy of the company that supported that industry, none of that matters. It's all a microcomputing game. I was reading fascinating articles about how there's a struggle to get your computers closer to Wall Street and to various stock exchanges because the fiber channels would be shorter, and therefore you would, by micro-milliseconds, have an advantage over people who were a little further away and their fiber cables were longer, you know? And that's suddenly what the investing is all about, rather than anything to do with actually producing something useful for people, something popular, something that people buy.
What is the measurement called a nanosecond?
10 to the minus 9th power.
This is what?
1 billionth of a second.
I understand none of it.
There are zeptoseconds.
Good, I'm glad.
The octoseconds. 1 septillionth of a second.
Because time is a corporate asset now.
Eric is totally bound up with that kind of micro-technology. It has nothing to do anymore with reality, actually, or humanity.
Either come from this lane, and he drops them.
Yeah. Or what if he just blocks them and throws them that way? Why does he have to hit them? You know?
Yeah, okay, let's see that.
Spin him. Yeah, spin him. Okay, so take him out like you did with a punch. Get Flint as he comes in, just stop him, block him, and then just throw him out.
So let's just look at that.
Okay, so first one. Right here. And the second one. Block, punch him. Try and get the knee up high. Yeah. Because you don't see it too much. Oh. But if you get it up high, because you can, because you're tall, right? Oh, yeah. So,
punch him in the back of the neck.
whatever you feel is good.
I love stunt guys. They're always like, hit me harder. When you grab me by the neck, really strangle me. And you're sitting there going, like, look at my hands. Like, I don't know if you... No, when you grab me, pop my eyeball out. They always want to get the best shot. It's always stunning to me how committed they are. They were fantastic.
Kevin, once you're comfortable, you can go change.
I'm all...
Okay.
Yeah.
Go change. Good.
All right. So, kicks and butt.
Spectres haunting the world. Spectres haunting the world. Spectres haunting the world. Spectres haunting the world.
In the novel, he gets out of the sunroof to see what's going on. And then the guy with the brick is trying to hit him, and that's why there's that look. And I left it in the script, but I knew that we were not going to have a sunroof.
It felt like, because there's so much happening,
No, it doesn't make any sense, and you'd never be able to see it in there anyway.
The animal unleashed.
Yes, at last.
I know, so much.
You've been so restrained.
Pushing the anger down.
You've been so restrained.
Yeah. Marty, what are you looking at?
No, I was looking at him. Fuck him. 1 year the day after the G20 riots.
Yes.
Right.
No, it's the Canucks. The Canucks. Come on, that was a battle riot.
It's a week. Did you watch the YouTube footage? It's unbelievable.
And it's so strange because people are, nobody's angry. They're just having a great time. Unlike the G20 where people were angry.
People were angry at the cops, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they didn't have a political agenda or anything like that. They just thought, hey, let's burn stuff. That's really fun.
It's total herd. Just everyone feeding them.
And they're just standing around and kind of ruminating. It was very odd. That's what was so disturbing about it. It's not like a normal riot.
It was
where you have very angry
like
people. These guys, these are really angry.
These are angry people.
Let a fine machine degrade in public. That's a scandal, man.
Everything's a scandal. Dying's a scandal, but we all do it.
You ain't heard? Brother Fez.
What?
Dead. Dead died earlier today.
I don't know this.
On action, he's moving, Dolly's moving, and we start dialogue, right? So let's have it quiet, please. Action.
What do we know?
We know it's not an organized terror cell. International kidnappers with ransom demands.
I did that one scene where I'm walking along the limo and I'm delivering all this information to Eric about what's happening. And when we actually shot it, all of a sudden there were, hundreds of extras walking around me. And I'm like, now I'm really feeling the chaotic energy.
Folks that are on this side, and I will cue you guys, okay? Don't go without me sending you, all right?
That's when, as an actor, I can't be like me in this situation. I have to be like Torval, who would be calm. And just the more calm I am and the slower my heart rate is, the more I can observe and see anyone who's trying to penetrate my security.
Action!
Oh, we know it's not a group.
This is good. You see how close your head is to the fore, but then you start to drift away, and then this space gets bigger and you get smaller in the frame. And I just want to see you a little better, that's all. Although it's not bad, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the closer to the camera you are, without starting to cut the top of your head, the better.
The tone's right, though.
The tone is absolutely right.
Do we care?
We don't have a name.
There are some directors who are very protective of the image. They have one monitor and they don't want the actors to look at it. I find it completely the opposite. I want everybody to see it, everything, and to be that involved and to know what we're doing. And you get actors coming up and saying, that's a great shot. I get grips coming up and saying, I love what you're doing. And they're involved and they're excited, and it just makes for a great communal feeling, a very family kind of feeling, and I love it.
Eric.
Got it.
Got it! There's so many people.
I know it's gonna sound crazy what I'm saying, but it almost sounds like, I'm going to church, and he's like the pastor. And he's coming to bring the good news. He has that vibe, like, when he speaks, you're like, okay, tell me more. And when he walks on set, we're all like students, we want to listen. Okay, what do we do, sir? We're eager to open up our textbooks and start writing things down.
Especially given the kind of movies that I normally make, it's kind of strange to say that it's love that really motivates the set. And it's kind of sucky, too, I have to admit. It sounds terrible. I mean, it's not just love for everybody that we're working with, but love for cinema, love for the movie-making experience.
That looks pretty good. Are you comfortable?
Just trying to get here as well, right?
Yeah.
Here with the curls. How does it feel having a bunch of girls playing with your hair?
This happens all the time.
You're a lucky guy.
Look what you got me doing, David.
I know. You look so, relaxed.
Beautiful.
Remember to be dead when we shoot, okay? Don't laugh.
Remember to be dead.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's hard to explain what lyrics mean. They mean different things to different people. And what they mean to you is probably different than what they mean to someone else. So I like to keep it that way. I like for people to identify with my music the way they feel is fit for them. But one common theme is we're just trying to find some peace. Brother Fez, baby.
I grew up around Sufi ideology, so I have a good understanding of it and these kinds of things. But also just the way he's meant to be this guy who makes music that has street edge, street following, but also has like a peaceful component to, and you know, my music is a bit like that as well.
As soon as he goes,
yeah,
you guys can step into position and start.
All right.
And that'll get you into the shot quicker
I
and
see.
tighten it all up.
All right.
Got it?
Pictures up. Let's start lighting the candles, guys.
Ready, and action!
It should be fun. I've never really worked like that before. I've always just written something from my own perspective. And then now to write from a character in a film is a different process. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. And I wonder if it's informed by a feeling from a character, a script, what it will be like. I mean, I feel like it should be slightly melancholy, but also a bit hopeful, a little bit of a Sufi chanty vibe. But right now it's just theory. We'll see, you know.
Background.
As a composer, if you have a good author and a good filmmaker, that's a great thing. That's a gift.
Cut.
I write music probably every day in the same way that you would write a note or write a letter or have an idea and you jot it down. I mean, that's what I'm doing all the time. But I'm dealing with a much more abstract art form than printed words. I'm trying to create something ends up as vibrations in the air, essentially.
Give it, and camera.
I've often said that Howard is almost the ultimate actor in my movies because he plays every role, you know, as the music behind every character. And he changes, like an actor, his performance for each movie to suit the movie, the tone of the movie.
Way back. Camera action. Keep going. Keep going.
This is very crazy.
I do the research, I think about what I want to write, and then I write it. So the process of composition is not a team process. That's me, you know, alone, absorbing the film, absorbing the book, and then writing pieces that relate to it.
Music? Okay. Too loud, so what? It is beautiful how they dance.
I had worked on another film with Metro, and I knew them and liked them, and I thought they would be right for this. So I actually wrote a score that they performed. It was very collaborative, and we worked fluidly back and forth. They didn't work so much with the film, they worked just with the score that I wrote.
You tell me when we leave, I take you out.
It's actually eerie how accurate the movie is because the book was. Even the pie in the face scene was played out internationally on the financial stage with Rupert Murdoch getting a pie in the face.
Yes, Pete. Sarker. Set. Set. And action.
What is funny is that cream pies, you know, is something that comes from silent films. And in this scene, this guy talks so much. He's revendiqué. He has things to say. I think this film will say something absolutely terrible on the times we are living. There is something between the people that have power in a car that doesn't see the world and what is collapsing all around. That is a metaphor that only Cronenberg, I think, could grab. So with an accurate and very funny but scary. It's a scary film.
Today you are named by the Bastard Assassin. And this is my mission worldwide to sabotage power And well, I am 3 years waiting for this. Oh, it's freshly baked only, don't worry. I passed up President of the United States to make this strike.
Is it a new film that you're doing that now? No, I don't.
I just had to.
No, I take what.
Oh, no.
No, because I'm here on the mic.
Okay. I will try not to do that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know, I know. The hair. That's why we didn't put the mic in the hair.
Right.
Yeah, so it was the hair, not normally, but.
But that time he was. It was the only way I could stop. Like.
No, okay.
He's fighting, so.
But we'll. I'll do.
Well, yeah.
Some more. That's good.
No, at the beginning, in fact, I succeed to escape. I know the sound engineer for a long time, Jean Mugel, and he told me 1 take, 2 takes. No rehearsing, because he has confidence in people.
No, but it's good.
I try to go quicker, but
very good take. It was.
Sometimes that's the strange thing. Where is the control? You don't know.
This is my mission worldwide to sabotage power and wealth.
You know, I didn't used to think that I liked actors because when you're a young director and you have a 2-week shooting schedule for your entire movie, as I did for my first movie, actors are kind of like the bulls in the china shop, you know. It's very fragile setup. You don't have much room to move as a director. They're incredible pressures to deliver the shots in a very limited amount of time, and you've got special effects. You're crashing the car, you're shooting somebody, and then you've got these dialogue scenes with actors that are emotional.
I am beaten and kicked by security so many times that I'm walking dead.
And at first I felt if the actor would say, why don't I do this? I would be afraid to say, the reason you can't do that is because we don't have time to shoot it. You can't go over to the window because we can't light the window. You have to do it here. But I gradually realized that actors can, in fact, be your collaborator, and that if you tell them what the problem is and ask them to help you with it, they will.
Do you want me to chase him more?
No, I mean, if you can grab them and pick them up, and if you do grab them and pick them up, if you do, turn them to the camera. Okay. Don't forget, because if you grab them and hold them, but you're here, so as long as you're sideways or towards us.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, the rest of it was good. You weren't, you know, the blocking was just sort of.
I was trying to stay.
That's right. It didn't happen much. But try and grab them.
Sure.
Because that was nice.
I'll pick them up. Yeah, great. Fantastic. And I'll throw them.
No, don't.
No, I just kind of like.
Yeah.
I won't throw them over there.
No, I know what you mean.
I promise.
Don't throw him too far.
No.
Okay.
How many actors do you get to say that? Don't throw him too far. How often do you get to say that?
This is my first time.
Because you're actually thinking he might be able to throw him pretty darn far.
Yeah, quite far. Right into the concrete there. I was thinking.
After Jordan, I come pick you up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, that's what we did before.
Okay.
So I can make jokes on basketball.
Okay.
Flying pie, and you know.
Flying pie,
and you take me for a fucking Brunei.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. We're good.
And then I will go with them.
Perfect. And you're just
To have assistants, to have collaboration, to have colleagues. I mean, the more help I can get, the better off I am. Plus, I think of myself as lazy. People tell me I'm not really. But if someone will do the work of preparation, let's say, as an actor or a cinematographer or an editor, it makes it a lot easier for me to concentrate on other things because the basics are being taken care of by other people, and more than the basics, I mean subtle things as well.
One night, I fall from a tree on Michael Jordan. Yeah, the famous flying pie. It's video museum quality for the ages. And I kissed Sultan of fucking Brunei in his bath.
C'est un cadeau. I mean, I don't know if you say gift in English, un cadeau. It's an idea from Paulo Branco, who is my father in movies. I started as assistant director. I did all jobs on films produced by Paulo since I'm 17 years old. And I think he had the idea, and he talked to David about that. And I think David was okay. And when I arrived with the plane, they wanted me to go to the hotel. I said, oh, can I just go directly on set? I want to see him work. I mean, that is something amazing for me, that know his films so well.
So mostly you're looking after set.
Yes. And then you see, like always, people that are so great are often so simple. He doesn't need to say a lot. He doesn't need to say all the bullshit.
Yeah, you do whatever you do.
Yeah. And we'll follow.
Yeah, we'll follow you as best we can.
You can just walk through the areas you're going to be so Peter can see you.
Works with the same people, same DP, to see the relationship with